Started, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It is Tuesday, May 27th, the day after Memorial Day. So understand that jumping on a 30-minute tech webinar with Exacq Vision and IP security reps is not always top of priority. So thank you again for taking the time. If you know anybody that did, maybe couldn't make it to the technical presentation, we are recording these. That's the great part about this. And we're putting them on our YouTube channel. So copy the link in the chat. We'll go ahead and share that afterwards as well, send out an email. But today, we're going to be talking about the new options for archiving within Exacq Vision. So what are they? How do they affect what you're doing at your site? We're going to talk about the S-Series storage. Yes, it is back. The S-Series archiving servers are back at Exacq Vision, and they are better. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about some offsite archiving, right? Archiving in the cloud, archiving from camera directly to cloud. How about that? Some new stuff that we just released in version 25.h1. We'll go ahead and cover today. And doing the presentation today, again, is Greg Parcell with the applications team. He's going to be running us through this 30-minute session. So with that, Greg, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Thanks, Brandon. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Thanks for joining. We do appreciate it. So today's topic will be, we'll talk a little bit about the S-Series and about archiving. For those that have been on these last few webinars over the last couple months, these again are single topic focused presentations, 30 minutes, and probably today's won't even be 30 minutes. But our goal here is to create enough interest to where you come back to IPSR, you come back to Kevin, and you want to do a deeper dive for your customers. You want to show them the options, and we're more than happy to do that at any time. So this is, the sixth, I guess, or fifth in a series of topics that we've done. We'll be adding some new ones later on this summer. But again, thank you for joining, and we'll just kind of dive into it. And I start with what is archiving, because this is our term for how to back up previously recorded video and to have options of where you back it up to, and to do this automatically. So on any of the solutions that we're talking about today, you have the ability to back up all of your cameras, maybe just a portion of them, like certain key cameras. If you're continuously recording locally, you could maybe just back up the motion data or the alarm data to an archive. It's also a great way to back up bookmarked video. So there's been an incident, you've got in a bookmark, created a case. We can now archive that also to provide that second copy of the video. This is, I think it's overlooked way too often. This is not the sexiest topic at all that we'll ever talk about or ever try to demo, but it's probably one of the most important, because if there is a failure, and that failure could be as a network outage, a data center catastrophe, a hard drive failure, anything in that network that could jeopardize the original recording, if you have an archived copy somewhere, it's going to help preserve that and just provide more assurance to your customers. As Brandon mentioned, we relaunched the S-Series. We're excited about this. It was kind of out of the market for about 9 months as we transitioned from the Z-Series over to the new X-Series line. And the S-Series is indeed based on that X-Series chassis. So right now we have two flavors of it. We have a 1U and a 2U version. The 1U being a 64 terabyte box, the 2U being a 288 terabyte box. And I think it's important here when we're talking about an archive server. This one, you can have one, for instance, 288 terabyte archive, and it could be handling the backup and the archiving of several NVRs. So you don't need, it doesn't have to be a 1-to-1 ratio. And in most cases, it's not. One archive is servicing multiple NVRs. And I'll touch later on about from an end user standpoint, if they need to search video, it really is transparent to them as to where the video resides, if it resides locally or if it's on the archive. We also give you the ability in that situation of the primary NVR not being available, so there has been some outage, some catastrophic failure, that you still could, using the Exacq client, search the video using your client and accessing it from the archive, just as you would any other video. So by this being based, the S series being based on our X series, it's managed, it can be managed through Enterprise Manager. The setup, the maintenance, the configuration is very, very similar to any other Exacq NVR. Very easy to do, very easy to spin up. Okay, so let's start with some basics and just where we initially record video and what the options are here. So normally, all video is being recorded locally to the NVR. Some cameras give you the ability to put an SD card in the camera. And in the case of if the camera lost its connectivity to the NVR, video will then be recorded to that SD card. When the NVR is available again, we'll automatically sync that video that was recorded on the SD card back into Exacq. And the other option is our Edge software. So this is Edge software, our NVR software running on the SD card of a camera. And in this case, this could be an Illustra camera or it could be an Access camera. And not all models are supported. The website will tell you what models that we can do this with. And I'll show you a couple different examples of this later on. But now the camera is not only the camera, but it's also the NVR, and that video is being recorded to that SD card, but is accessible through Exacq, just like any other camera or any other NVR. Okay, so let's start to build now different archiving options. One would be using that S series and attaching it to the network. And I point out here too, I mean, we would love you to use the S series, but we work with almost any third-party NAS device that's out there. There's a protocol supported by the industry called SMB. And as long as that server supports the SMB protocol, we can archive to that device. And I make a note here that we can do this with either professional or enterprise licenses. You have the ability to do this. But if we take this a step further, I like to kind of call this the private cloud storage. So this S series doesn't have to reside on that local network. This could be on another site in a colo location. And as long as we can have network access to it, we can take the video that was archived, send it through the internet, through this cloud to the third-party device or the S series. So I call it private because the customer is managing the access to this. We're not using a public cloud, but it does give you the ability to have these devices off-site. A lot of we deal with customers that are highly regulated, and they'll have state requirements or federal requirements that will say you need to keep 30 days of video on the local NVR, but you need 90 days of video off-site. And this would be the prime example of how to do that. Okay, let's add one more option here. And that is going to a cloud storage solution. In this case, we support both Wasabi or Amazon S3. I should point out to use these two options, we support those on enterprise licenses only. So that's one thing to be aware of here. But now Again, same functionality, videos being recorded to the NVR. You can select the cameras or all the cameras, select the events, whatever the requirements are, and store that video on a cloud instance. This is a very easy way to do it, very efficient way to do it. I should point out that Exacq does not, we don't resell the Wasabi or resell the Amazon cloud services. That's a transaction between the customer and the cloud service. But the customer owns 100% these cloud instances. But we have the capability built into the NVR to natively communicate with both of these cloud instances. And it's very easy to configure. I'll show you a couple examples here later on. All right, so now let's kind of put it all together in one slide. And the reason I kind of throw this on one slide is you can mix and match any of these solutions within an organization. You could have your private cloud storage going to an S-series for some sites or some cameras. You could choose to use either Amazon or Wasabi for additional backup, additional cameras or different sites. And these all could be coexisting together. With the Edge camera over here, running our Edge software, we now have the ability, not only are we recording to an SD card, but we can turn around and take that video and put it on any one of these solutions, the S-series, or to take it and put it on either Amazon or Wasabi. So the Edge solution just became much more powerful in the sense that in the past, we've been able to archive to a private solution, to an S-series, but we've added now the ability to archive to Wasabi or to Amazon.
Hey, Greg, I'm going to chime in for a minute if you don't mind.
Go
Do
for
a
it.
little ham and egg. So what I'm looking at here is an Edge camera recording directly to the SD card with no NVR and archiving directly to the cloud. A lot of times our customers are asking for a cloud solution or an NVR-less solution, and that's really what this is. This is an NVR-less solution, but it's letting them keep the Exacq Vision platform, which has its benefits over some of these cloud platforms out there in the fact that we can support a bunch of different edge supported camera models. But not only that, you get the great Exacq Vision user interface that your customers are already familiar with, but then all the other integrations, right? Integrations with access control, with analytics, with um, vape sensors, with anything that they might be tying into their system, they can keep and maintain all of that architecture and infrastructure that they've already invested in and still move to an NVR-less solution where it makes sense.
Yep, good points. Thanks, Brandon.
Yep.
I should point out, in any of these solutions, you have the flexibility to either schedule the archives, like off hours, or to do it continuously. So a continuous archive, we would initially record the video to the NVR, but we're basically saying as soon as that video is recorded to the NVR, and as soon as can be a few seconds, if it's a very busy network, it could lag a little bit. But basically, at the same time, take that video and also put it on whatever archive solution you're looking for. In that example, you're going to have video reside in two places simultaneously. The beauty of that is if you lost this NVR for some reason, you're going to have all the current video available to you. Now, the other option is to schedule the archive. And this is probably more typical. During the day, there's a lot of bandwidth being used across the company's network, a lot of traffic. You can tell the system, okay, starting at 7 o'clock at night and go till 7 in the morning, as an example. Take the video from that day and archive it to one of these solutions. It does it then when the network is less busy. It can be a much more effective way to utilize the network. But again, you have the option of doing this either way. And you may have one site doing it one way and another site doing it another. That's perfectly fine. All right. So that's basically that's the architecture. That's your options. We want this to be flexible. We want the customer to be able to choose the type of solution they need, have it grow with them, and have it accomplish what they're looking to do. Okay, so now let's move into searching, and I'll show you a live example of this that'll make a little bit more sense. But the point here that we're trying to get across is you're going to search the video in Exacq the same way you would any other video. You're going to do a timeline search. You're going to select your cameras. The difference being is if there's archives involved, the Exacq client will first try to access the video locally and look for it there. But if it can't find it, it will automatically go to the archive, look for it, and bring it back down for the end user. The end user doesn't have to know where that video resides. So if I come back to, let me come back to the previous slide for just a second. There could be retention rules in place that says, I want to keep 30 days locally, and we're storing 30 days locally here. But maybe based on those regulatory requirements, we have to keep 90 days of video either on an S series or in a cloud solution offsite. The way we do that is days 1 through 30 are being recorded here. Days 1 through 90 will be here in the cloud. So when I do that timeline search, again, if it's the end user is going back 35 days, or if he's going back 60 days, he doesn't have to worry, where is it? Just put in this date and time frame, and we're going to pull it back for him. Let me show you kind of a quick example of that. I'm going to break out of my slides here for a second. And bring up my Exacq client. Right now I'm just connected to one NVR, happens to be an X series. One of the things I wanted to show you here, though, excuse me, I mentioned you can excuse me, you can mix and match the archiving solutions. And on this particular server, I actually have 3 different archives, 3 different solutions running. I have a local, this happens to be an S series that I'm connected to, and I'm archiving a few cameras off on that. I'm connected to Wasabi, and you can see here I'm doing the backups from midnight to 6 a.m. And I also have an S series, and the archive schedule there is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. This can be however I want to schedule it. So I actually am connected to all 3 different types of archiving. Wouldn't be real typical to do that, but it would be typical perhaps to use a local S series for some, and maybe Wasabi for very long-term type of archiving. So you can mix and match those on one system. But what I wanted to show you here is I'm going to disconnect from that X series. And actually now I'm disconnected from all my NVRs. I'm not connected to anything. But if I go to my search page, notice here the X series comes up, and it has archive only. So the system knows that there's an archive for the X series, even though I'm not connected to it at all locally. And I can put in date and time here. We'll go back to May 5th, and I'll do my search. Notice this normal type of timeline search. And here's the video being returned. I don't know where that video resides. I mean, I do, in this case, I'm disconnected. I know it's coming from the archive, but as the end user wouldn't have to know at all. From here, I could do my normal start, stop, do my export, just like any other video within Exacq. And again, I'm not connected. If I connect to another NVR on my network real quickly. Real quickly being the operative word. There we go. Now, this is one of those edge cameras. So this is a camera, an Illustra camera in this case, that is running the Exacq software. And if you notice here, this looks just the same as any other NVR because it really is the NVR software running. If I look at the storage, I've only got a little less than half a terabyte in there based on the SD card. But I'm also archiving that video, in this case, to an S series. So that S series now is archiving video from my X series and the Edge. It's servicing both of those NVRs. And in this case, it's actually servicing about 4 or 5 of different NVRs across the network. But this video now from the Edge camera is local, but I can only get a couple weeks of storage, well, 3 weeks of storage on that SD card, but I could get, 90 days, 180 days of archive video by archiving that off. Okay, just real quickly, 2 slides that
Hey, Greg, before you go into this, can I ask you a question?
you may.
Can you change recording settings, so frame rate, resolution from local storage to archive storage? So for example, if we're recording locally for 2 weeks at high resolution, 15 frames a second, can we then archive it at a lower resolution, lower frame rate?
You can, as long as there is a lower stream that's been defined on that camera.
Okay, so you have
Okay,
to set up the secondary stream ahead of time, and then you can archive just the secondary stream, is what I'm hearing?
exactly.
Perfect. Another question, if you have say a dozen or so edge cameras all recording locally to their SD cards, and then you want to archive them, can you, or maybe you just have multiple servers that you want to set up archiving for, is there a centralized way to do that in the Enterprise tab or in Enterprise Manager potentially?
And
Or
the
do you have to go
enterprise,
into each camera or
no.
server and set that up?
Well, good question. Let me break
Sorry to
out.
put you on the spot there.
No, 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 not the first time you've ever done that to me, Brandon. Um, so let me do this. Yeah. Oops, wrong one. First of all, so this happens to be the S series on my network.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it looks pretty much just like setting up another NVR. But on the storage tab here, I have different partitions that are available to me. And you can see I'm not using some of these. The other ones I am archiving. And when I do that, it gives me a partition name here. So these all look the same, except you're going to notice it's disk 112.1, .2, .3, .4. In the enterprise, I can't, in the tab here, I can't add all the archives to in one place to the NVR, but it's simply as easy as coming here. And if I created a new archive, it's simply the IP address and it's
Yeah,
that,
copying, pasting.
yep. And I'll go back to
Can
this
you,
guy.
as far as the schedule then, the task schedule and all that, are you able to clone or copy and apply to multiple, or is that an individual setting as well?
It's an individual setting. Um, as far as the archiving is concerned, from an overall schedule perspective, I can do that in one place. I can look at my schedule and see all the edge cameras and the recording. I could do that separately, but the archiving is separate.
Understood.
Right.
All set. That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. just let me cover this. These are like, by law, I got to tell you these next two slides. Just kidding. So I do like to point out on our Alustra cameras, when they are attached now to an Exacq NVR, there is no channel license charge for the Alustra cameras. It's a free camera license, and that is for the Pro or the Flex cameras. And we've also, going back about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe almost 6 months ago now, have the ability to kind of almost auto add these cameras into Exacq. Exacq will discover the cameras. The configuration is very quick, and we will allow you to add multiple Alustra cameras to a system very quickly, automatically. So make sure you keep that in mind on the Alustra side. And then lastly, I just like to bring up about Windows 11. Any A series or Q series shipping with Windows is now shipping with Windows 11. It actually has now for about almost 3 months. But we also have an upgrade program that was similar to the program that we did with Windows 7 to Windows 10. Now going from Windows 10 to Windows 11, you can come to this website, put in the serial number, and we will let you know if that particular model is capable of running Windows 11, and then if it is, what the upgrade part numbers are from the software perspective. All right, that's all the slides I have. Let me break out of the sharing. Brandon, are there any other questions, anything in chat? Because I haven't been able to monitor that.
I do not see anything in chat, so if anybody does have any questions, throw it in the chat real quick or raise your hand, and we can get a question answered. Otherwise, obviously, reach out to your IP security reps, account rep, and we can talk to you guys about some of the options for S-series storage, whether it's the small or the large storage unit. We can quote that out for you. Also, we can put you in touch with the Wasabi reps. Usually there's an Amazon account already existing at your customer site. So if your customer is looking for archiving and they're looking for offsite, they may already have an Amazon account. So we can, that one's pretty simple conversation, but we do have some contacts with the Wasabi reps to help facilitate that and get pricing. And it is pretty affordable. I will say that, Greg. I know that we've quoted out a couple Wasabi archiving options, and it is quite affordable compared to some of the competition in that marketplace. So it's a really good option.
They're very aggressive with their pricing. It is. It's surprising.
Especially for the longer term storage.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. Well, that concludes this session. We will again create a link to our YouTube. This recording will be on our YouTube channel. You see the link there in the chat. So go ahead and grab that and hang on to it. And we'll be uploading more videos to that shortly. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.